Jon T writes, I was curious how one starts a production company. As a writer/filmmaker, I don't like the idea of the studio owning the intellectual property. I would want to hang on to the rights, ensuring the future of the franchise was ultimately my decision. How do you get funding for a film without giving up the rights? Also, how do you start a production company?
What you're kind of describing there, and look, I've made a couple of projects, but I'm by no means a Hollywood veteran director-producer, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But what you're talking about is really the pie in the sky wishful thinking of everybody who comes to Hollywood. I want somebody to just give me all the money to make my dreams come true and give up nothing in return. That's not the way the world works. I mean, look, if I'm a guy, if I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire, and Amy Rose comes to me with an idea to make a film, that may sound good and everything, but guess what? There are literally 10,000 people in LA right now with finished scripts that they would love to get some funding for. So I'm talking to Amy Rose, and I'm thinking about risking my money, putting up, I don't know, 1 million of my dollars or 2 million of my dollars, whatever. Guess what? I'm going to own it. If I'm paying for it, I own it. It's just that simple. It's just that, that's the way life works. So Amy Rose will go, well, I want this thing made. And so I pay for it, I pay her for it. Hopefully then her name gets a little bit bigger. It becomes a big hit. Now she's in demand. So she writes another thing that she sells, again, but she gets bigger. Then at some point you get to the level of a Peter Jackson. At some point you get to the level of a Christopher Nolan, where now studios will say, just let us play in your sandbox and we'll pay for it and you get to keep the ownership and blah, blah, blah. But that's a long way down the road. The fact of the matter is, there isn't a magic pill you can swallow and go, now millionaires are going to come out of the woodwork, studios are going to come out of the woodwork and just give me all the money and I get to keep everything. That's not the way it works. You know, it's funny, the CEO here at the Stream.TV studios, Susan, who as a former senior vice president of Paramount Pictures, I actually wanted her to come on the show and talk about this, but I got in late. So we weren't able to make that happen. But I mean, obviously that's the dream. I would love somebody to just hand me wads of cash, assume all the financial risk and take nothing from me. That would be great, but you wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't do it, so I don't think we should expect millionaires and studios and things to do it either. They're in it, they put up the financial risk, they're the ones in the position to reap the rewards, and until you get bigger or you pay for it yourself, that's just kind of the way that it works. There are exceptions, obviously, in everything. There are exceptions, but they are the exceptions, not the rule. Amy Rose, how do you see this whole thing?
You're looking at the exception. I'm worth it. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, definitely, but it all comes down to credibility. People want to have, you know, a rate of return on their investment. That's just how it goes. And, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, your interview with him, I thought brought up all these points because, you know, you asked him, why now? You've been in this game for a while. Why are you making your directorial debut now? And he said, I didn't want a studio to come to me and say, this is great, but we're going to change the ending. He established a certain amount of credibility and fame and likability and talent that people trusted his voice. They wanted to invest in him. And I think that's what it comes down to.
And it was a minimal investment.
It was a minimal investment.
Minimal investment.
You know, no effects. It was a very real, minimal film, but amazing at that. And I definitely think that's what it comes down to. I mean, everyone has to pay their dues. I would love for millionaires to invest in the script that I'm working on right now that I think is really good. You're going to think it's really good too. But there's a certain reality that, especially the marketplace being as competitive as it is, you know, really good ideas only go so far. As we know with production, there are thousands of players behind the big ones, and it's you know, they want to make sure they're investing in the right place. So just keep working hard and putting, you know, paying your dues, and eventually when you get to that point, people are going to want to invest in you. I mean, look at Josh Trank. No one really knew who he was before Chronicle. Now he is a very highly coveted director. People are so excited for Fantastic Four, even though we've heard all this madness. But, you know, I'm really excited because I think he is a true up-and-coming visionary. So,
and yet even he does not own Fantastic Four.
No
one's given him the ownership of it.
But the credibility is rising,
Yes.
and you know, that's just the name of the game. So keep working hard and you'll get there.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.